A little, not an, it wasn't an incident. I was actually just messaging somebody on Facebook a week or so back, and without well, yeah, it probably was without thinking. I didn't really give it much thought. I sort of signed off and went, just put 24/7 Jesus. And that's been going around on the inside of me for, you know, probably a week, 2 weeks now. And it probably relates back to a scripture, a chapter in Matthew 25, which had been going off on me for a while. I don't know, there was a song back, I think it was in the early 1980s or late 70s, I can't remember, by Keith Green called The Sheep and the Goats. And that song is very poignant to where I want to head with this. But Matthew 25, what I'm going to do, I'm going to let Alexander Scorby read it to you rather than me trying to read the entire chapter. But deals with...
Chapter 25. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps, and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go ye rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. Watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man travelling into a far country, who called his own servants, and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth, and hid his Lord's money. After a long time the Lord of those servants cometh, and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliveredst unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things, I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliveredst unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things, I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance, but from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations. And he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick, or in prison, and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me. Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me not in. Naked, and ye clothed me not. Sick, and in prison, and ye visited me not. Then shall they also answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, or athirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto thee? Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye did it not to one of the least of these, ye did it not to me. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal.
It deals with a couple of things, and primarily it deals with the virgins with their lamps. It deals with about us keeping the oil in our lamps up to speed, you know. Lamps are an interesting thing, they illuminate our way. And the word's like that. The word illuminates the way. It's really important that we keep the word before our eyes and in our mouths. Because when it's in our mouths, that's when it becomes a sword. And it will fight our battles for us. But that's not the main reason why I'm sharing this video. Jesus goes into the latter part of this chapter, as you would have heard from the Alexander Scorby video there, about did you feed me? And it's interesting, it appears, now this sort of became apparent when I was listening to a Messianic Jew the other day. Evangelism is not about us just going out talking to people and telling them about Jesus. Evangelism is a lifestyle. It's meeting people where their needs are at. You know, if you want to evangelize somebody, find out what their need is. If they need a shirt, get them a shirt. If they need a pair of socks, get them a pair of socks. Don't take the ones that you've just taken off and haven't put through the laundry. You can give them to them. But, I mean, what's a pair of socks? $5, $10? I mean, the key to a lot of this sort of stuff, as I've found out, I don't always have $5, $10 in my wallet. But what I have learnt over time, when I get paid, the first thing I do before anything, I pay my tithe. I do that before I do anything else, and I do that by direct credit. So then it's done. I can't touch it. I can't tamper with it. But then I put aside all my offerings, you know, to different ministries or different people, whoever. But then I keep aside a miscellaneous offering, which just keeps increasing and increasing, you know, over time. I mean, that's at times has got up to, around $1,000 where I've been able to just sow it, give it away, you know. And that's not patting me on the back. That's just, but that's just through just putting it aside, a little bit aside every week, you know. And one of the things I've learned is that if you don't do that, you don't have, when you need to want to buy somebody a pair of socks, so you can just go and bless them, you can't do it if you don't have that money there. There's no good walking around with regret saying, I wish I had it. But you only do it by little steps, you know. I'm not, I don't have thousands of dollars coming in every month, but I'm a pensioner, basically retired. So I live do everything according to that. But I tell you what, if I didn't give, I would be really in struggle street with the way things are. This morning I just heard a news bulletin about the price of food going up. Now, and this is where socialism can be really annoying. Our socialist-based government wants to actually start subsidising food, and the moment the food comes from the government, now you are at their mercy, so to say. Where Scripture teaches us, all my needs shall be met by Jesus. And as Christians, this is what I want to talk about, being a 24/7 Jesus. We can give. We can sow into people's life. You want to evangelise with your neighbours, cook them a meal. I'm always looking for containers to put them, meals in. That when we cook, we normally don't just cook for one meal. John, my son, he will cook, like if we got stews there, he'll cook them up so that there's a slow cooker, so that there's actually meals there for probably 10, 12 meals, and we can if we can put them into containers and freeze them. The biggest problem is actually storing them. You can't just walk around with a hot meal in your back pocket, and give it a frozen meal in your back pocket and give it away, because it might thaw out and could get bacteria and it could kill somebody. You don't want to do that, because then you're going to be raising the dead. But yeah, it's really interesting with this scripture. Jesus was talking to the it was just here, like this one. In the latter part of of chapter 25, it's about, when I was thirsty, you gave me no drink. When I was hungry, you didn't feed me. One thing John and I found out, it always pays to have that extra little bit there, because if you're standing in the queue at Coles and the lady in front of you with two little kids is $20 short on her grocery bill, rather than her putting it all back and putting stuff back, it's easy to say, look, hey, just add it to my bill. It's easy to do, But we can only do that but when we make provision to do it. And we take that out, then we, as Christians, we're taking that out of the hands of the government, which is where the church needs a little bit careful. I know a lot of Christians do this, but a lot of people need to step up to the plate. And if you want to evangelise, how about we do it as Jesus as sort of said here, feed the hungry. You're not going to catch everybody and feed them, but the point is, what I'm trying to find at the minute is I'm looking for a group of people who will give me a hand to perhaps administer this and work with it, and under the auspices of being a Jesus 24/7, a 24/7 Jesus, because if 10 or 12 of us can put $5 aside every week, it doesn't take too long to save up and buy a couple of $100 worth of gift card, say Woolworths gift cards, so that we can give them to people that we know. Like I know a few people that are single, and I'm making an assumption, but because I have been single years ago, you tend not to cook meals for yourself because there's only one of you, and the way the economy is at the moment, it's going to be a lot harder for those people. They don't want to be wasting money, making a meal and then not being able to consume the whole meal. So if we're able to help them with meals, and particularly with the gift cards, where they can buy those meal packs, which is sort of basically a meal, I presume Woolworths still do them. I don't know. I don't go into the shops anymore. But basically what I'm suggesting is that we can set up something to be a 24/7 Jesus, that people aren't looking to government to meet their need. They're looking to God to, that scripture that my God shall supply all my needs according to his riches and glory. And that's done through the body. Like I've had very naive Christians come to me and say to me the book of Acts is socialism. The book of Acts is quite the contrary. The book of Acts is my God shall supply all my needs according to his riches and glory. And what it is, it's when Christians have a vision to meet, which was when they take this latter part of Matthew 25, and I'm not doing it so I don't get cast into outer darkness, but I see it as a form. I mean, if you read that there, Jesus obviously sees meeting needs as a form of evangelism. But, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a case of, like, I personally don't have any need as per se. All my needs are met because of the way God blesses me. He already blesses me, so and he's blessing me to be a blessing to other people. And what I'm asking is for a group of people, and I'm going to need some people to help me do. I don't want to do it on my own because it needs people who can administer and monitor what's going on. Yeah, for accountability, where we can sort of perhaps find a big chest freezer somewhere so we can actually put meals that we can cook up, as we got those bits left over every week, that are good meals, and package them and put them into a freezer. But also that we can also have money set aside. When somebody needs a shirt, we can say, look, there's $50, go and get yourself a shirt. It is really cool to be able to walk up to somebody and give them that money. But when you're doing it without them realising that you're already seeing their need, that's why I'd like to sort of do this with a group of people, because I know the people that are in my circle, but other people know other people in other circles. But it's about this 24/7 Jesus. I'm just throwing the idea out there at the moment because it's been going around on the inside of me. Like I just went back over that chapter this morning to read it, and as I was reading it, I was reminded of that song by Keith Green, Sheep and the Goats. If you look it up on YouTube, Keith Green, Sheep and Goats. Initially, it can sound possibly a little bit legalistic, but it's actually very scriptural. It's actually that Matthew chapter 25. Verse 43. I was a stranger and you took me. I was a stranger and you took me not in, and naked and you clothed me not, sick and in prison and you visited me not. It's about the doing side of the being the body, and I know I've said this before, and I probably offend some people. God's a nobody without a somebody, and we are the somebody. We are the body of Christ. We are that somebody who does touch, and that's basically what I'm looking for, is people who can see the vision and just get back to me and say, look, hey, I'm interested, because it's going to take more than one person to do it. And I know what I can put in every week or every fortnight when I get paid, and I'm always looking for that opportunity to sow. You might say I don't have a lot, but you ever look at your loose change at the end of the week? You've probably got $5-10, that you haven't used. I mean, $5 doesn't sound like a lot, but if you get 10 people putting $5 into something every week, that's $50. And sooner or later, you may become the recipient of the blessing. That's why it pays to sow. Like I've got a video on YouTube about sowing and reaping. I'll connect it to this. The advantages of being a tither and sowing, because every seed you ever sow is always going to reap a harvest. Whether it be with your words, just messaging somebody saying, how you going, just checking on them. But everything we do is a seed. It's really, really, really important. I shared it with a friend And there was something in that I hadn't even realised I said about how our tithe is an incubator for our really, if you want to get doing anything like this, always become a tither first. Because if you're not a tither, you're a thief. And that's just a fact. That's what it's not me, that's what the word says. Would you rob God? You read Malachi, it questions that. And yeah, if I'm putting you under a little bit, well, that's so be it. But the point is, you don't realise the irreparable damage you're actually doing to your finances if you're not tithing. You're not placing a protection over your I mean, that's all covered in that video, and I'll leave a link to it. But tithing is ultra important. It's like as I put it, as I hadn't realised I said it, it's like an incubator. It places like an insurance policy over all your rest of your giving, over your entire financial situation. And I hear people say, oh, they talk about the cost of fuel is expensive. Like, just give you an example, like diesel at the moment, it's about up to about $2.30 a litre. When diesel's the cheapest fuel on the planet. But anyway, it's not so at the moment. You get a vehicle like mine, which is Volkswagen, it'll return about 6 litres per 100k. Now I can do 100k virtually every Sunday, because just going to and from church. So I do both services. In the scheme of things, that's not a lot of k's, but if you're that calculating it, that you're talking $12, $13. Just go to and from church, then stop and have dinner on the way home from church, And if you're not blessed, you can't do those things, and that's part of the whole thing, And it's nice about, to me, Sunday's the most incredible day of the whole week. It's my most favourite day. I love going to church, and I won't miss it. I could watch a live stream, but I just don't get the same out of it on a live stream. There's nothing like being part and participating in the service. I'm not the guy that runs around making lots of noise. I will not miss it. It's where I catch up with my brothers and sisters, but you see, there's no good me complaining about the price of fuel if I'm not doing something positive with my finances. At the moment, I get an income. The first thing I do is tithe. I know John tithes on his income. But then we always make sure we do it. We have certain ministries which we sow into, and it's nice just to have that money there to just do those impromptu offerings. Just to walk up to somebody and give them something, to see the look on their face is worth way more than the amount of money that you ever sow. So yeah, basically what I'm looking for is some feedback on this. Yeah, basically, let's just for now call it being a 24/7 Jesus, and reaching the people that need to be reached. Like if we can amass, say, a few dozen $50 Woolworths gift cards and have them carefully distributed around with people that we know that will hand them out, not use them for themselves, but the whole idea is it's about giving. I can't reinforce that enough. If we're not doing that, then we're not sowing seed. It's a bit like just the other week. I've never had this happen. We had tomatoes ready to harvest. John and I was going to be picking them for church, and normally we would go down there on the Saturday evening and pick them all ready for Sunday morning. And there was a couple of weeks when we went down to the greenhouse to pick the tomatoes. It would have been a good 20 kilos of tomatoes down there, and the whole lot had been just cleaned out, wiped out. by somebody getting it, so I've had to put a lock on it, which is not what I really want to do. I just wish the person had come and asked and we could have given them some. They don't have to go and wipe the entire crop out, because what happened is that they have selfishly taken for themselves, and a lot of other people have missed out. That many tomatoes can, you easily go around 20 people. So. And I can understand it with the price of the way food is at the moment, people doing that sort of stuff, Like I'm also setting up some hydroponic cabbages and lettuces currently. I've got them all ready to, they had to modify a system to do it. That I've had to remove from the greenhouse because we run into a situation with nutrients in the greenhouse. Different crops require different nutrient strengths, and if we do everything for the tomatoes, the nutrient strength is way too high for the lettuces. It's okay for cabbages, but it just burns all the lettuces, and we lost a lot of lettuces earlier in the year because we hadn't allowed, we should have actually just lowered everything and allowed the tomatoes to come on slower. But yeah, so it was that, well, those tomatoes going missing should have made me sit up, and then I heard on the radio this morning, not that I ever listen to the news very often, how the government's wanting to subsidise groceries, and I'm thinking, whoa, that is socialism gone to seed. Yeah, somebody else's. I mean, for a government to do anything like that, it's taking it out of taxes, and for it to give out revenue like that, it has to take revenue off other people. Which I don't agree with doing that. So it's not the right way of doing it. This is where, as Christians, if we're doing our part, we can eliminate that issue. And that, which is the way the body of Christ should be working. If you look at the early church in the Book of Acts, it's they were selling their houses, whatever, to build the resources for the church, and I'm not saying we should all sell our houses, we've all got to live somewhere. Like, I don't know any local caves I can go and sleep in. It's a bit cold lately to get into a cave. The other thing too, we've done it before, where people have needed a room. We've got, a couple of spare rooms, or, well, should have. We need to clean one of them up so that. But it's always there for an emergency if somebody needs some accommodation, And not only that, while they're here, you can feed them, you can minister the word to them. I want to cut it there. I've gone too long already. It's about being Jesus 24/7. It's about being Jesus. It's not just talking. That talking often does solve things, but I think it says something more when you give a little bit of yourself. Because you might not think you're important in the scheme of things, but when you're helping a meal on somebody's table, which a meal that might feed 2 adults and 3 kids, you're a big deal, a huge deal. Now, back in the early 90s, I went through a really, really tough period of time when one of my kids was having a birthday party, and money was so tight it wasn't funny. And I felt really bad about not being able to have this birthday party for them. But anyway, I'd been to the shop to try and buy a few things for them with a little bit of money I had. I come home and there was this box on the back porch of the house. This was back in New Zealand in the early 90s. And it's a cardboard box, probably, without being said, the full width of that table. Probably the width of this table and probably yay high. My hand's disappearing out of the picture. It was a big box, and it was full of things like sweet cakes, donuts and all that sort of sweet food that kids love, And that box was absolutely chockers. We had so much food that we were able to invite some of the other kids in the neighbourhood over to celebrate one of the birthdays. But that's God's provision for you. And it just happened to be on that day the day of the birthday. I can't remember which one of the kids it was, you know. But anyway, they had a blast. They had an awesome birthday, and we were able to provide because God said, "I will meet your every need. I'll meet your wants." Psalm 23. I shall not want. You know, God's looking to bless us in every. I've seen the blessing side of things, and that's why I love to be part of sowing. And I've reaped. I'm just going to just check this as finally because I was just watching the Loaves and Fishes filming on the background filming to The Chosen. When I was a teenager in New Zealand, we were doing some Teen Challenge outreach work, and we had we're in a little town called Papakura, which is, you know, sort of half an hour south of Auckland, and we had this room which we had set up where it was actually given to us to use by a businessman, and we would go out on the street and witness, and we'd bring people back for a cup of coffee. I remember this one night, because going out and you get them to make you the coffee, and it wasn't no barista type stuff. It was using an instant coffee, and the coffee jar just didn't seem to go down. It kept having about that much in it. And the milk bottles were doing the same. But we had a heap of, and I think in that particular one probably got 10, 15 people saved. You know? But we actually, I have seen that Fishes and Loaves situation in that environment. I've seen cars that shouldn't have fuel and them keep running until you come to a service station that you go back there 12 months later. There's no service station there. I remember driving from Auckland to Palmerston North one time to hear Winky Pratney minister, and I got as far as Taumarunui and cutting through the back to get down to Palmerston, and just come down this road and looking at the fuel tank and thinking, oh my goodness, if I don't get some fuel soon. And I didn't know that believing God back then. It was a lot of it was fleecing. God, if you get us that, yeah, we'll do this. Yeah, he's stringing all these fleeces. Anyway, come round this corner, and on the right-hand side of the road, now I've been back, it would have been around Taihape somewhere. I've been back there to look several times. There was this big BP service station, which just so happened to have a coin pump. Back in those days, you used to put the coins in the pump, and you could run the pump. Anyway, it filled the car up and got us from there to Palmerston. I came back, and to sort of dismiss the idea of it, I thought I'd come back on a different road, you know, going home, because I thought, well, why would you have a BP service station in the middle of nowhere? And it didn't see it, and as years went by, I drove down there deliberately, when we go to Taumarunui and then on to Taihape, and to see if I can find this. The service station doesn't exist. And I know that sounds a bit tall story, but it's actually a fact. I had another fella in the car with me, and I'm pretty sure he's still alive, who could verify. We're just out in the middle of nowhere, and this big BP, and it was green lights. It was unmanned. It just had these coin pumps. But did God just happen to put it there, or? It reminds me of the story of Jerry Savelle breaking a radiator hose one time. Anyway, what I'm just trying to throw in here is God will bless us, but we have to have our expector out there. And one of the best ways to have an expector out there to receive a harvest festival, put a seed in. Yeah, sow something that's worthwhile. Yeah, my seed at that time was I'm going to go and sit under the Word for a weekend. That was the only seed, other than the fact that I'd be putting an offering in the bucket when it came around. But I've seen God move, you know, and I've seen Him move more ways, you know, and other things financially like that, you know. I'm not going to go into them all now, but so yeah. So if this is something you're interested in, best way to do it is just contact me via my Facebook. because I'm going to post the video on my Facebook. If you're interested or you want to talk to me more about it, because what I'm looking for is not just, I'm looking for several people who want to at least sit down and we'll talk about it, and expand on the idea of it, how we can, can we put meals on table? Can we clothe people? With the way it looks at the moment that possibly, I mean, the way the media is carrying on, that that there's a possibility of a recession. Hey, what better time for the Christians to stand up and say, hey, my God will supply not just my needs, but help supply your needs as well. So anyway, it's about being a 24/7 Jesus. So that's it. I'll get out of here. Catch you, bye.